Hello everybody, Darcy Marler here. We're going to start a new video series today called Students Taking Action, where I'm going to interview various students from the course that used to be doing rentals and flips just like you, but now they're in this new sandbox, the real estate development sandbox, and really enjoying it. Our first guest is going to be a young lady called Tara Eruteya, and you're going to love her. She's got so much enthusiasm, and she's really hitting this development thing hard. If you want to know more about real estate development, feel free to email me or set up a Zoom call using the Calendly links. They're all in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's talk to Tara. Enjoy. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you.
Really great to have you on. I really appreciate that. So maybe give us a little background, a little bio of who we are and what you do.
Yeah, totally. So I've been doing real estate investing for probably I would say almost 20 years. It's something that's been something that I've been very passionate about. But in truth, I haven't pursued it as earnestly as I have in the last couple of years. And so I had a switch of career. So I was in the construction industry for a while. And then I decided to focus on what I really love to do, which is I run a nonprofit organization. We do work in Sierra Leone in West Africa. But it allows me the flexibility because I'm doing that and I love what I do. I really enjoy it, but it allows me the flexibility to pursue real estate a little bit more. And I made the decision to actually get mentorship and coaching, which has been, I think, the biggest difference maker for me, because you can have all these ideas and things that you want to do, but unless you have somebody that's very close to you that has done it before, I personally find that I just spin my wheels because I'm learning from other people who may not necessarily have the expertise. And so it's been wonderful actually being part of this group with Darcy and learning different skills and techniques that I would never have thought of to utilize. And so it's been a really great growth opportunity for me as well. So, yeah.
So, well, thank you. What kind of, you were doing kind of just rentals and those kind of things before, or what?
So rentals, like, with single family homes and condos as well, so I did that. I made a couple really great investments. I made one really not so great investment. I'm still dealing with it today, where I bought a condo in the boom and it was upside down and still trying to get out of it or figure out, something to do with it. So I've done a whole bunch of things, but it allowed me, I think the last 20 years has allowed me to gain the practical experience of just being a landlord. So I'm just very good at doing that right now, of, purchasing and managing a property and doing it remotely and, all of those types of things. But I really wanted to scale up. And I knew that I wanted to, real estate investment is probably my primary vehicle for investment because I understand it. It's a little bit more intuitive to me. I don't understand the stock market as well. Like if you tell me, this stock is good, I have no idea why. But now I can look back and say, oh, I would have invested in Amazon 20 years ago. But, but real estate is a lot more, intuitive because it's just brick and mortar. And also the construction industry that I was in gave me some good background in understanding flips and understanding renovations and those kind of things. And so I've done flips as well. So I've sort of tried my hand at a whole bunch of things in BRRs. So
that's excellent. That's really cool. So what was kind of the catalyst? What was the aha moment that said, no, I'm actually gonna go and try this development stuff and veer off there? What caused that thought?
I think first of all, looking around me, I live in an inner city neighborhood. And when I moved here, I think 15 years ago in this particular neighborhood, there wasn't a whole lot going on. I'm close to Mar-de-Loup, but I'm not in Mar-de-Loup, I'm in Glenbrook. There wasn't a whole lot going on. And I began to see the progression of things that were happening from Mar-de-Loup up to Killarney, up to Glenbrook. And I thought, how do you do that? So every time I go for a walk, there's a new building that's popping up. And this, and I began to ask questions of how do you do this? And, what does this look like? And how do you make money at doing this? Do people make money at doing this? Well, what does this all look like? And that was one that really prompted me to want to get into it. The other thing is my last BRR that I did, I took a fourplex and renovated it. It was a complete mess, put a lot of money into it, renovated it. And it's been great. It's been good. However, I've done two of those. So in recent years. However, I found that you never quite the building is, still has issues. And so you renovate it, but you don't do everything in entirety. So I'm still stuck with the old furnace, and I still have the older windows because they're quite expensive to replace, and I'm just, not wanting to do that quite yet. Which means that management of the property is a little bit more tricky because of the type of people that, that you would attract, or your expenses. And so just maintenance, there's maintenance expenses there that you may not necessarily have with the new building. And so that made me really interested in land development. And the last thing is, I'm just super passionate about land. There's something that's very fascinating about it for me. And the idea of taking a raw piece of land that has been there since the beginning of time. If you think about it, all the land that we have right now has been here thousands of years prior to when we've come, and doing something with it and developing it, that soil, is really fascinating to me. And that's a lot of what we do in Sierra Leone in West Africa. When we build clinics, we build schools, and we take land from a village that is sitting there and, empty, maybe just not being used, or was being used for farming before, and we use it and build something on it that's actually going to give life and generate freedom and generate life to people. So you have a school in perpetuity that kids are going to go through for, tens and tens of years. Our first village is, our first clinic is 8 years old. And before we built anything in it, we had one woman dying in that village every month. Since we built the clinic, there's been nobody that's died. And so it fits really well with what I do in Sierra Leone. And so I'm really passionate about even developing land here to create communities that people are going to be excited to be in, or to create a building where I can go, I built that building and somebody really loves living in it. And some people, somebody really enjoys the uniqueness or the nature of it. And so that whole concept is fascinating to me. So
I love that. That's awesome. So different people kind of take the course. A lot of people are tired and bored of rentals and flips and renovations. Some people want to change the world. Sounds like some people want to build new and work with new instead of old. So you kind of encompass all that all in one package. I love it.
Right. That's right. That's the great thing about real estate. I think there's so many different strategies that you can do. And I think one of the things that you say, Darcy, that I love is that you find what you love. Find what you love, find the niche that you like. If you don't like dealing with tenants, then find something that doesn't involve tenants. And that's what I love about real estate, is you can really get into, something that is more connected to who you are and what you do best.
Beautiful. Oh, couldn't have said that better myself. So, okay, so you take the course and now you're going through it, and now you've got some really cool projects. So tell us about what you're actually doing now. You're actually taking action. So what's that look like?
Action. So I sat down, watched the videos, and it's like, okay. And I'm one of those people that it's one thing to watch a video, but it's another thing to actually go out and do it, and spent the time actually doing it. And so one of the things Darcy says is find it, and look around what's going on in the city. And so I started to look at the area development plans that the city had online in different neighborhoods. And so I started with my neighborhood because it's actually pretty simple. There's, one there, and looked at it and I thought, oh, they're thinking of upzoning this street, right here. And as I was looking around, I saw a property for sale that was right on one of the streets that they have highlighted to be upzoned. And it'd been sitting on the market for a bit, which was actually a plus, for me. And I thought, okay, maybe he's negotiable on price. I approached him, put an offer on. He wasn't negotiable on price, but then, I called Darcy and was like, hey, this guy's not, budgeting price. But, the other thing you say, well, like if he's not negotiable on price, look on terms. And so can you get, terms, with him? And I did. I was able to be able to basically lock up the land and put a contract in where, yes, I'm going to close in 6 months. But in the meantime, we get to upzone, we get to apply for rezoning, I get to put plans in place. I'm basically prepared to knock the property down once I get possession of it, which has been huge, because I was thinking the traditional way before of purchasing the property, putting a tenant in while I figure out what to do with it. But that's a lot more work and a lot more, messy and things involved with that. And this is much easier to be able to, work with it like this, because it also gives me options of maybe I don't want to own it in the end. Maybe in the end, I put the plans on, maybe I walk away if I can get, get the cash out of it. and I move on to the next project. And so that's one that I have going on. And I really wanted to actually go through the process of doing the application with the city myself, as opposed to going through with somebody else. And so I'm looking forward to actually going before council in a few weeks and talking to them about the project and convincing them to rezone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the goal is to knock down the old house and build what?
We're going to build fourplex with 4 basement suites. So it's going to be, I mean, you were seeing this going up all over the city, quite a few places. My end goal, because again, I want to be able to acquire property, my end goal would not be to sell it, but would be to keep it as a rental. And so I'm kind of going in with that in mind.
I'm giving an interview here and I still got to be going to teacher mode here. One of the other things you could do is keep one, sell one, keep one, sell one. So that way you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. That's a great.
And then you've got some other stuff. I'm amazed and very proud of all this. You got your hands in like 10 pots here. So what kind of other stuff?
I do. I think, the other thing that I've learned is not to be afraid to put an offer, on a property and look at something there. So there was another property that I saw, again, it had been on the market for a long time. And those sometimes, it's funny because you look at a property and like, why is it sitting there? Why is it sitting? Is it overpriced? Is there something wrong with it? But it does allow room for negotiation. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with it. Like the one that I just picked up, there was actually not, I think people just didn't really look at it in the way that I was looking at it. Sometimes the property that somebody else, says this, he says, sometimes the property is like the pretty girl at the dance. Everybody thinks that she's taken, but she's not. You just have to go up and ask. And so, same thing with this one. It was sitting on the market for a while, and it's a very, very narrow lot. And I came up with a concept, and this is probably going to take a little bit while to convince the city, so we're still in progress. Came up with a concept to be able to put 4 units on a very, very narrow lot, doing multifamily in an inner city area. And if we're able to pull that off, it will be quite profitable. This one is a much longer play. Because it's there's a lot more conversations to be had with the city to be able to make that work and to make that happen.
A few minutes ago, before we started taping here, you told me that you're actually looking to actually build your own house, and
that's right.
Maybe
that's right.
Tell us about that.
That's right. Yeah, so that's really fun and exciting. So I've always any property that I've lived in before, I've always bought and renovated. I love the process of renovating. Some people get stressed by it, but I like it because you get to choose everything that you want and basically turn something that was really hideous into something beautiful. And I love that process. That's super exciting to me. But now that I'm experimenting with building, I decided to also build a personal property because I'm looking for a personal property in that way, and then do something a little bit more unique because I would love to have options for extended family to live with us, and also options for possibly a supporting income, so that it's a flexible use. And the bank will qualify you on more if you have a secondary suite or some kind of secondary income coming in. And so this one is a single detached house, but it does have a carriage suite, which is kind of fun and exciting, and the builder will do it all. So they will build that carriage suite, and it's just the backyard, so it's separate, it's different from a basement suite, so the tenant is not necessarily in your own space. It's still a little bit removed, and gives you options for having, I think that's important these days with house prices, having a secondary income or having families stay with you, so, or Airbnb. There's so there's so many different options as well with that.
Garage suites and that kind of stuff, for sure.
Garage suites, yeah.
So I guess if you could summarize, what kind of the top 1 or 2 things you managed to take away and learn from the course?
One is to take action. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. It's to take action. And so actually sit there and do the work, like follow the steps. Every time I talk to you, Darcy, I learned something new, and I love that you have years and years of experience in this. And so the course is not just, it's not just a nice to try or an interesting thing to look at, but this is built on, an experience, and it's proven experience. So, take action and follow the steps, and don't be afraid of it not turning out. So if you put that offer on and you get outbid, don't worry about it. Move on to the next one. If you put the offer on and the city says no and you have to pivot or learn, don't worry about it. You need to kind of try your hands and see what works. I think you have to also not be afraid of failure, in this. So I think that would be the biggest thing I would say is don't be afraid to take action. Yeah. And just follow the steps, because if you're like me, you take action by learning, and so put one foot in front of the other and try it. But if you sit at the sidelines and you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to, so just take actions.
So going into it, you thought, okay, you had this picture in your mind of what development was, and now that you've done a little bit of it, are you liking it? Is it kind of
I'm liking it.
Cool as you thought it was going to be?
I'm liking it. I realized that I really like flipping paper better than I do, going on the site and working with contractors and, yelling at a plumber to get his work done on a renovation. So I really like flipping paper. I like the process of building. It's a little challenging mentally, because trying to figure out how the pieces all work. I'm also an accountant by profession in my background. And so, I always go in making sure that the numbers are going to work and they make sense. And so, that can be a little bit challenging, but you can knock on different doors, and don't be afraid to ask for referrals for a mortgage broker or somebody that can, everyone has a different product to offer you and different solutions to offer you in different things. So I'm really liking that. And I'm really looking forward to doing bigger things, eventually getting into subdivisions or, bigger land assemblies and, things like that. So it was interesting. I'll say this, the new house that I'm building, it was interesting to see somebody had bought that property, that piece of land 20 years ago, before the ring road ever went in, when the talk of the ring road went in. They're only just developing it now. I love that. That's vision. And I also love the legacy and the heritage that you can leave by developing a piece of property where you can say this was in the family for generations, and this is what we decided to do with this piece of land, and this is the concept that we have around it. And I think that right now people are writing the story and writing the history of Calgary, and I want to be one of those people that writes the story, in a small piece, writes the story of, because people are determining what our city is going to look like 20, 30, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when we're gone. And, I would love to be part of that history, just in the same way I'm excited to be part of the history of what's happening in Sierra Leone, that when I'm long gone, they'll be like, she was a part of this. And so that's also exciting for me.
I couldn't agree more, because for me, the sense of pride you get when you actually develop something from the ground up is infinitely better than the pride you feel when you renovate a 1950s house or something, right? So like the sense of pride is huge. Next thing, so one of the great things about the course, I think, is the closed Facebook group we have with the other students, and then the bi-weekly Q&A sessions that we have together. Kind of talk about the community and what you found with the fellow students. And
yeah, I've had some really good connections, with people in the community, and that's been great. Like Chris the builder, I think you interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. He's been an amazing and excellent resource for some of the things that I'm doing, and I'm really looking forward to working with him. He's very skilled at what he does. And I've also been able to connect with some other students. I think there's a good resource within the community just to put questions out there or see what other people are doing. And something that I like to do every once in a while is just, pick a person and then just message them, hey, let's connect. I think networking is really important, in this industry, and being able to connect with people and see what else, other people are doing, what else is going on out there. I think that's really key. So that's a great part, I think, of the course is that's ongoing. So yeah.
Lifetime access. There you go.
Lifetime access. And so I think that's really good.
Well, this has been great. I'm so proud of you, Tara. I really am. When you get off to the point where you're going to develop, 10 acres, I'll be there for you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I am looking forward to that. I love the creativity that goes with real estate, because really it's whatever is on your heart. It's really fun. It's whatever you dream of, and the sky's the limit, really. And
Well, I think the sky's the limit with your potential too.
Thank you.
Really, I've had a kick out of, I got a kick out of watching your progress the last few months. I really,
Yeah, come up with all these crazy ideas
yeah.
and to do. So yeah,
Someone said if nobody's laughing at your dreams, they're not big enough. So there you go. So
it's true.
anyway.
It's very true. Yeah.
So thank you very much. I won't take up any more time, but yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very much for being part of our interview series and students taking action. Thanks,
Thank
Tara.
you. Thanks so much, Darcy.
Students taking action. I love it. If you want to learn more about real estate development and how you can get in on the fun too, email me. The email link should be right here on the screen, or feel free to set up a Zoom call using the Calendly link that's here as well. Look forward to talking to you. Thank you.